Yo, my boy Charles, what's good with you?
How's it going, brother? Always good.
Good, man. Feeling a little bit under the weather, but we got to get this work in. It's been a little while since I've done a episode on my pod, and I'm glad to have you in here. I know you're a busy man, so appreciate your time.
No, I love it,
For
man. Love it. Love to see anybody
Yeah,
chasing
for
it.
sure, for sure. You already know the chemistry's there always. It says the peace on the streets, and now we're gonna do it on here. And for you guys, he's probably going to be an honorable guest. We're probably going to do this probably every week now. Him coming on here, he's got his own stuff going on. At the end of the show, he'll put out his socials there, where you guys can follow him, and then he's going to help me out on here. So again, appreciate your time, my brother.
Oh, of course, anytime. Love it.
Yeah. And before we get started, guys, please like and subscribe. Please, if you really support your boy, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share with your family and friends, share it with some strangers. Whoever you see that walking down the street, I really appreciate that. And then we're gonna get into some Cincinnati Bengals football talk, and then we got a bunch of NBA. We got Kevin Durant rumor trade. We got Desmond Bane getting traded to the Orlando Magic. We got a rookie, upcoming rookie who's gonna get drafted in the draft, who thinks he's top notch already. You'll see what we're talking about there, and then the NBA Finals. But just to get started, man, Charles, your Cincinnati Bengals, they're going a little bit of drama right now, man. And, rookie, the first round rookie that you guys drafted, Shemar, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. So if you want, correct me.
Yeah, Shemar
Shemar
Stewart. There you go.
Stewart, Shemar Stewart, first round draft pick by the Cincinnati Bengals, is considering holding out because the Bengals and him can't come to a contract agreement. He can ultimately opt out of his contract, sit for the entire 2025 season, and then re-enter into the 2026 NFL draft. You're a big-time Cincinnati Bengals fan, so for sure, I know you got some mixed feelings about this. Let the world know, baby.
Yeah, definitely, of course, right? Because as a Bengals fan, and that's not really a team a lot of people hype up or cheer for. So a lot of people asking me about it. Definitely one of those situations where you look at it immediately and you want to blame the player, right? You're a rookie, just signed a deal. It's the same deal everybody else is getting. I see the money. That's the information that was out there initially for Shemar Stewart, his contract financial situation. And that looks up to par. And he's mentioning, okay, well, I want my contract to look a lot like recent rookies, not just Bengals rookies, but other rookies, but primarily, Bengals rookies like in the past few years, Sims, guys like that. Most of which were defensive players as well. And it's interesting, that's the initial reaction. Now, as a Bengals fan, and if you look at other former players for the Bengals that are perceived as fans now at this point, and on their perspective, guys like Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco, whatever, right? Pac-Man Jones, talking about on their shows, even a little TO. The Bengals are cheap, and we know they've always been cheap. But from the beginning of this situation, it was just more about the numbers being out there. And that's all the information you had, and the numbers looked fine. So it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm pro team on this. If this guy's just complaining about wanting to get paid more, and he hasn't played yet, kind of like what we just mentioned in the NBA situation later. What are you doing? Just sign the deal, improve your stuff, and get your money later. But obviously, there's more to it. Other terms that they're looking at, they want to change. The Bengals trying to add in clauses that deny some of his guaranteed money if he wanted to play or if other things were to happen in the future years. And that's kind of the main issue with the contract overall. He's not just complaining that he's not getting financially valued correctly. He's complaining that these extra clauses could put him in a situation where if he were to miss time in the future, next 2-3 years, while under that rookie deal, that he would lose all that guaranteed money that comes with that deal. Now, again, as a Bengals fan, I know we're cheap. I know we don't sign. I know we don't do that. And I know that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, obviously the Hendrickson situation, like maybe not Henderson so much, but the rest of the deals just got done and the money's there. So it's kind of like, okay, maybe they're not so cheap anymore, right? But aside from the Hendrickson situation, which is a whole other thing altogether, but it's not so much just the Bengals thing. Other teams like Seattle, Arizona have done this as well. And I think it's just like a new wave of clause that teams are trying to, initiate there to get away from, okay, you got these rookies that show up, they get hurt, they miss most of the year, they start the next year, maybe they're hurt again, or they're missing time, or they're not showing up to practice, or whatever it may be. There's been a lot of 2-3 year players that have not played on the field and not kind of presented in value, but they're getting guaranteed money. Now, obviously, it's rookie deals and not a huge amount of money, but it does add up, and it could really sway what you do with the rest of your roster. So I get it. It just is perceived as cheap because it is a newer thing, and the Bengals are kind of on the front of the camera. They're the team that's kind of being I mean, the first to be shown doing it, even if they aren't. Technically, it's already been done, but they're getting all the notice, so it makes them look bad. I guess if I had to choose a side, I get it from the Bengals. However, just get the deal done. You drafted the guy early. Obviously, it's not as this was a 6th-round pick or something crazy like that. At the end, this is your top pick. Just get the deal done. It's not that much money. It's not a big deal to just play it the right way. Ja'Marr Chase, T. Higgins behind the scenes have also said quietly that the Bengals tried to do the same thing with them, and they were like, we ain't having it. And because of their star value, it didn't happen, period. Now, I know this is not the same level of star or notoriety, but just get this over with. We can't keep having off seasons with issues. We already have the Hendrickson problem, and we just got rid of Pratt so that we can make more space. Just finish it, get it done. Don't want to see this guy go back in the draft, miss a year, or even if he tries to go back to college. Either way, he'd get back in the draft, and we couldn't get him legally again anyway. Just finish the deal.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like these owners, right? If you really put it in perspective, these owners that have these teams and all they really do is have this play money and want to spend it on just having some entertainment for themselves and for their families and for their friends to say, "Oh, I own this team and this and that," right? I'm not going to say all owners, but a lot of the owners really just use this as like a game. They just have a team as a game and they enjoy it, right? And if you want to win, if you're an owner that wants to win, you need to pay your players. It's as simple as that. But sometimes some owners get too into their heads, and GMs they want to do what's best for the team, and they want to bring in some other players that maybe can put as much effort and value as some certain players. But when you really think about it, it's not really like that, right? And when Shamir said it best here, right? I'm 100% right. It's a no-brainer. In Trey's case, it should be a no-brainer too. Y'all Bengals just want to win arguments more than winning games, in my opinion. And over the last few years, I feel like it has been like that. You've seen it with Ja'Marr Chase. You've seen it with T. Higgins. Now you're seeing it with Trey Henderson, and now you're seeing it with their first-round pick, who's supposed to be an impactful player on defense, which the Cincinnati Bengals desperately need. I mean, it can't just be scoring touchdowns and trying to match with another team, because when you get either to the wild card round or to the first round of the playoffs, that's not going to get you further than that. I mean, we saw it in the beginning of the season with the Cincinnati Bengals. They were one of the worst teams in the league. Then they started picking it up on offense, but the defense didn't even get to the same level as them. So they ended up with a bad record. They didn't get into the playoffs, and it is what it is. But going off of this here on this quote of what Stewart has said, how do you feel about that when it comes to the Bengals just want to win arguments more than win games?
I can hear that, especially from a guy coming out looking in. He's hasn't played for the team, hasn't played in the league, so definitely understand his statement there. In comparison to the Ja'Marr Chase thing, things like that, I think the weird spot for the Bengals is that they can make a case in each of these dealings. Look at Ja'Marr Chase; he was trying to get paid too early, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. He's one of the best receivers in the league. You can argue on any day he could be the best receiver in the league at any moment. So I get it. But again, typically, you don't get a contract done 2 years left on your rookie deal. That's just not something that happens. That's unprecedented, not unwarranted, but still, I can see the Bengals' point of view. You look at T. Higgins. We don't really have the money to sign a second big money receiver when we had just paid Burrow, or now obviously the Ja'Marr Chase deal, coupled with a whole bunch of other guys that need to get paid because we have no defense, right? Trying to clear some cap space. Hendrickson leading the league in sacks. You got to pay him as well. So you just keep running with the tag on Higgins. I get that too. Yeah, Higgins' point, but I see the point the Bengals make. Hendrickson quickly. We're the worst defense in the league. I'm not saying statistically we are, but just watching it, I've never seen a worse zone defense in my entire life, or watching any football team ever, than the Bengals were this past year. Yeah, we got hot on offense, almost made the playoffs anyway, one game away, but still fell short because that defense was just so bad. Now, that's with Hendrickson, with double teaming him, and he still led the league in sacks, which all the credit in the world to him. But how much money do you want to give to somebody on defense when even with him, you're still one of the worst defenses. You might have to let it go and spread the wealth and try to build a more balanced team and see what you can get with little bits of money rather than all in on one player after signing those other offensive players. So again, I get what the Bengals mean on that. However, like you said, it's all about winning. At the end of the day, these players lead to winning, and Shemar Stewart's coming in to be a big impact defensive player. If you're not going to sign Hendrickson, why are you not also going to sign the guy that's essentially replacing him, even though they play a different position more or less? But still, that is your replacement Hendrickson, maybe in a year, even if you do hang on to Hendrickson for another year. So it's annoying. I hear his point. I don't like the overall point of view it kind of makes the Bengals look like because that is their history, so it makes you double down on it. But I just want to see it get done. He is of value. I don't know what he'll end up being. A lot of Bama players haven't panned out for us, but still, I like to pick. I like to pick in the moment, and it's about time that we just get it done and see what we got here. Might hinder the Hendrickson thing, but Pratt's gone. The money's there. Just get it over with and stop with the games. We can't have another trouble all season.
I just think it comes down to being stingy, really, man. Because like I truly believe that, and you could rebuttal here or put in your thoughts, but I truly believe that these owners really have these teams just with their play money. It's just money that they have that they can spend and they don't have to worry about. It's just like when if you got to compare it, right? When you're gambling, if you're a true gambler that knows how to bankroll, a bankroll management, knows how to handle your money, right? You use money that you don't really care about, right? In a sense that you don't really care about to gamble because you're not scared to lose it. And that's what I feel like owners are with NFL teams or which is with professional teams in general, right? A lot of them really just are out there for the entertainment and this and that. And you hear it a lot when it comes across the NBA, even with the WNBA. Maybe NFL is a little bit more serious. And then you have some that are really trying to win. There's teams out there that are really trying to win year in and year out. And I feel like, the Bengals didn't really have that culture before when they first started up until maybe what, like a few years ago. Because I feel like even in the Andy Dalton era, I feel like they were just hanging on, doing
Yeah.
what they need to do to win games, but they weren't in the overall picture of trying to win a Super Bowl, trying to be the world champs.
Yeah, I hear that. And bottom three in attendance not almost every single year during that era, not doing well financially, not spending the money. Carson Palmer, our best quarterback in team history before Burrow and Boomer, obviously, had a great time too. Didn't even want to be there. Said he didn't want to play for the Bengals anymore because they're too cheap. They're not willing to spend to win. And I think the problem there is, like you said, you don't gamble your rent money. But these are really millionaire, billionaire owners that have the money to just, not saying just throw it away. It is an investment,
Splurge.
and I get that side of it. It's a fun investment, and they see other teams making money. But look at the teams who make money, the teams that win, the teams that invest in the team and win back. The Yankees became the Yankees because they reinvested over 90% of the money back into the team, got a station so that they can broadcast their own stuff and control that, make money back. Everything Steinbrenner was doing was putting back into the team, and it paid off handsomely. And you look at all these other teams that are selling off for crazy money nowadays, that you're like, man, that's not even a great team, and they're selling for crazy money. Imagine what a team that's winning will sell for. And it's just, I think that's the thing that gets lost on a lot of owners is they're afraid to spend now because they want to recoup that money so soon, or they're afraid to gamble it. But if you look at all the teams that spend and win, it turns into money. Just do it. You'll have fun winning, and you'll be making money in the meantime. Whole city of Denver, all those teams started paying off money suddenly because they were winning. You
Yeah.
know,
hmm
but
hmm
gee,
So we'll see what it ultimately comes down to. Like I like the Bengals. I love your guys' offense. I mean, Joe Burrow. I think he's top five quarterback right now. I think Jamar Chase is probably top two, maybe not even two, maybe one right now in the league. T. Higgins is top 15 in my opinion. Your running back situation is good. I think Chase Brown is going to have a lot of workload this year. I think your offensive line still needs some work, but I think you guys are really putting your heads to that. So what you ultimately got to work on is the defense. And if you're not paying one of your top defensive players and the first round draft pick that you got in the draft, like you guys are just worried about the offensive side of the ball. And if you look at teams that have won Super Bowls last year, Philadelphia Eagles had one of the best defenses in the league and one of the best offenses in the league. What would happen for the Bengals? Well, if you get one of the best defenses in the league with one of the best offenses, maybe you could get a Super Bowl. But what do
We
I
were
know?
a top five. We were a top five defense during our stretch of being great the year we went to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
But it was only all the eyes were on the offense, and you didn't think you needed that to get there
Mm.
because the offensive line was so bad. But it's like you can't do it. You can get there. You can have the lead in the fourth quarter and have a BS penalty with on third, fourth down that costs
Yep.
you the game and not win the Super Bowl because you decide not to address the defense or the offensive line or the offense. Like you need every element to win it all. There's no teams winning Super Bowls that was like, man, but they didn't really have a good defense, or they didn't have any offense, or they didn't have any offensive line. They had no pass rush. They all have something in those spots, or they're amazing at something. And it's just the Bengals are leaning on the offense way too much.
Facts. Facts. All right, so we'll see what's gonna happen, but we'll move on to NBA basketball here, because there's a few rumors going around, man, that superstar Kevin Durant might be on the move, and I think it's gonna happen for sure. I think it came to an agreement, him and the Phoenix Suns, that they're gonna trade him to another team, but the teams right now are uncertain. Of what I'm seeing from reports, and I'm sure you've been seeing too, that the front runners right now are the San Antonio Spurs, the Houston Rockets, and the Miami Heat. But I heard that the Spurs were out of the mix because there's been several reports that have come out that the Spurs rather keep their assets for another big star or continue to develop the young talent. With all that being said, first of all, first question: where would you like to see him go?
Um, so I'm not a KD guy. I don't consider him a superstar anymore. I think he's past his prime. I think he's been past his prime for a while. Not in terms of his ability to score and get his baskets, but his efficiency to do it. But that's okay. I still think he's a great player, and I understand everybody wanting him. I think Houston is the best fit because that's a team that even vocally said they struggled getting baskets on offense against Golden State in the first round after having a great season. Udoka is, great defensive coach. And when you get a guy like Kevin Durant who's aging, not to say that he's just this terrible defensive player, but he's not going to show up on defense for you. You're going to need the rest of the team to supplement that, and I think Houston will do that. San Antonio, to me, is the best overall fit, but like they said, and I agree with, why sacrifice so much? You saw what the Magic had to give up for Desmond Bane, 4th round picks, ridiculous, and that nature. We'll get to that overall, though. Imagine what you're going to give up for a guy like KD, even if he is aging. And I know Phoenix is trying to recruit those 1st round picks that they had that they gave to Houston, so that'll be nice. But I think overall, Houston would be the best fit because that is a team that the core of their players don't need the ball to develop. Whereas you look at San Antonio, you want Wemby with the ball. Fox needs to have the ball to be great. Even Castle and other guys like that they have off the bench. I don't know who they'll end up keeping. There a lot of those guys are in chats as well. They have high value. Like I don't think you need to move them, and I don't think you need to rush the clock to age yourself. I don't feel like Houston or Detroit needs to do that either. But I think those teams are so similar to one another that if you plugged in a guy like KD, they could immediately become a threat. I know there's a lot of Golden State talk, and sure, fine, that might work because you already have a system there. You just plug him in and add him. I don't think that's the same thing it was before when the passing was amazing and the spacing was there for the 3-point shooting. Jimmy's great, but he's not a 3-point shooter, so not the same spacing. But I'm still going to roll with Houston. I think that's for him. That's the best chance for him to kind of earn back some of his legacy because at this point, I mean, the Nets thing was a failure. The Suns thing was a failure. And he spent a lot of time in each of those places doing nothing. So I'm going to go Houston.
Okay, okay. You just said nothing about my Heat here, man. So I'm feeling kind of a little disrespected.
Uh,
It's all
so
good. It's all
I'm
good.
done
It's
talking about
all
the
good.
Heat. Every
It's
year,
all good.
you're in the running for Jaylen Brown every year, first Kevin Durant every year, Damian
That is
Lillard,
facts. That
Giannis.
is facts.
You're going to talk about the Heat, and I knew you were going to talk about the Heat, so I gave you the space
I
to talk
mean,
about the Heat.
honestly, obviously, for you guys that don't know, I'm a big time Heat fan, and honestly, I would love for him to come to the Heat. I think being paired with Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo would be a great fit for him. I think that the Heat have a great defensive team, and all we need to do is plug in a consistent score that can give us 20 to 25 points. And I feel like that we can match with anybody in the East. Not saying that we'll run through the East and we'll get to the NBA Finals, no, because there's a lot of teams in the East now that have shown the grit and will to win. The New York Knicks, the Indiana Pacers, obviously the Boston Celtics are still there, even though Jason Tatum is going to be out. The Orlando Magic now with their trade and their great defensive stoppers. Milwaukee Bucks still have Giannis at the moment, so there's still a lot of competition in the East right now. So I won't say that the Miami will run through it, but I feel like it would be a great fit for him, right? But I do feel like the best fit for him would be the San Antonio Spurs. Playing against a Wemby that he can guard all over the floor really if he really wanted to. De'Aaron Fox, you saw when he got traded over there that they were clicking a little bit. It was just obviously at the trade deadline, and they were already so deep in the losing column that it was tough for them to get above water and afloat. So I think that young talent that the Spurs have would be great for KD. He doesn't really, like you mentioned, he doesn't really need to play that much defense, even though he will. He won't be like a defensive stopper. He won't be grabbing 10 rebounds a game, but he go grab like 5 or 6 rebounds a game. He'll probably get maybe one steal every maybe week or so. So he won't have to play as much defense, and especially with Wemby there, right? I do like him for the Houston Rockets, but I've heard that the Houston Rockets want to give up Jalen Green and Jabir Smith Jr. For KD and some other assets, but the Phoenix Suns don't want Jalen Green because they got Devin Booker and some other reasons what they won't say. So I feel like right now with the Spurs saying that they want to keep their young core, which I agree with. I think that they should keep the young core. I mean, they got back-to-back years of Rookie of the Year. It's very promising for the future. De'Aaron Fox, he's not young, but he's not old either. He's in the middle there. He can help with that team, help with that team chemistry, and help them win. He's great at playmaking. He can score the rock. He's very fast. He's a two-way player, in my opinion. And if they just keep developing in maybe the next 2-3 years, they can put in work to try to be contenders. But obviously, would love to see KD go to the Miami Heat for sure. But I think the best fit would be the Spurs. I don't think he's gonna go there because the Spurs won't do it. So it looks like most likely he's gonna end up with the Houston Rockets or the Miami Heat. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. I just think with Miami, it's a great fit for his stats. It's not a great fit for him. I think he'll have the space to do whatever he wants and all that. But again, it's just Phoenix all over again. Like you're going to be put in a situation to, even though you could say Hero has better stats than him, he's the star, blah, blah, blah. But Durant's going to be the star of that team. And I don't think they have enough for when he falls short for him to not take the blame there. Whereas I think in Houston or somewhere like that, kind of like you hear Paul George rumors to the Magic, Paul George goes there. It's not going to be, oh, Paul George looks at this team because they already have something there, but he will help elevate them. And that's kind of like the Kawhi to Toronto thing. I don't think you want to be at this stage for Kevin Durant. You don't want to be the guy anymore. And I think Miami kind of puts him in a situation to be the guy. And I don't know if that's best for him. It'll be fun for you guys. If I was a Heat fan, why not? But KD wise, I think it's time for him to settle into, if you're not going to be the number 2 on a blatantly great team like Damian Lillard did with Giannis, at least be a guy that takes this roster that's near to the next level.
Yeah,
even Denver.
Yeah,
Okay,
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So
you think they would try to look at Denver for him?
I mean, not really. I think Denver would definitely try because they could get rid of the Porter Jr. contract and stuff like that. But I don't think anybody's going to take on what Denver wants to give up
Yeah. Yeah. And
unless they
sometimes
get a third seed.
there's a lot of teams that don't want to take on any big contracts. I mean, we
They
got
don't want to
Duncan
lose it.
Robinson there for sure for us, and we're trying to get rid of that. I just don't see it happening. Honestly, I think it will be several young talent that is going to get traded for KD if it happens to be the Miami Heat. But I would love to see him with Wemby and De'Aaron Fox. Honestly, I think
Me too. That's why I want them. That's why I want them. But
that would be a dope trio. Honestly, just speaking as a basketball fan, but being a biased Miami Heat fan, bring them over, babe. Bring them over.
that's fine. That'll let me eliminate the Heat and Durant in one time.
So
Plus, I can go
we'll
to the
see what
game.
happens. Most likely, I've been hearing reports that a trade for him will happen either sometime this week or close to the NBA draft. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens there, and hopefully 305, babe. But we'll talk about another trade here that the Orlando Magic and Memphis Grizzlies have come to an agreement of trying to trade. No, I'm sorry, not trying to
Wow.
trade. That they already traded Desmond Bane, the Memphis Grizzlies have traded Desmond Bane to Orlando Magic for KCP, Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first round picks. Yes, I said that right. 4 unprotected first round picks and 1 first round pick swap. You being a Orlando Magic fan, I know you're a big time Boston Celtics fan, but I know you're an Orlando Magic fan here too. And I wish I had BC on here because he would be going crazy right now. But how do you feel about this trade? I know there's a lot of talk that it's a lot that they give up for Desmond Bane. So if you want to mention that as well too, but I just want to hear your overall thoughts on what you think this trade is for both sides.
Yeah, this is definitely the Desmond Bates and the Magic trade is definitely one of those. You start on one person's perspective, then you jump to the other side, then you jump to the other side, then you jump to the other. Just counterpoints back and forth, right? So the giving up the 4 first round picks for Desmond Bane is wild to me. I don't think I've ever seen that many assets go away at once for a guy that's not the best player on a team. Yeah, let alone won't be the best player on your team, right? I do think he fits exactly what the Magic need. A 3-and-D guy that's not just 3-and-D, can do a little bit more than that. However, I know he's a 20-point a game kind of player, but I think he's an inefficient roller coaster 20-point game kind of player. Like, he's gonna bring good defense. He's got a good physique. He's ready to do that kind of stuff, and that's perfect for what we need to do. Guys like KCP just wasn't shooting well here. I think he's just primed to be on an all veteran side team, which fine. He did his thing. Cole Anthony was a big part of our team at some points. But again, he was like our Daryl Armstrong in terms of coming off the bench and being a lightning bug, not being a consistent piece. But I know the 4 picks, obviously that Phoenix pick is in there, so that could have value, especially if KD is gone and they start to play poorly. I'm typically not a pick guy. Like, get rid of all the picks. I'm not telling you to leave yourself assetless, and that way, in the future you're screwed over, kind of like Milwaukee is right now. But at the same time, we're already a young team, so realistically, drafting players and bringing in more youth isn't going to be our direction. We do need to sign people, but just to set that precedent, I think that was way too high. I think we could have gotten him for less, and it is a bit much to pay. Yeah, he's a great shooter, and they go, oh, he shoots this percentage, that percentage, but that's based on you being the kind of pick and pocket guy in the corner on the elbow with Triple J there, or John Morant there. You're not just doing that off the ISO dribble. You're not doing that as a creator. He's not a great ball handler. He can be in moments, but he's not consistent with it. So I don't believe in those stats when people throw me at them so heavily. I still like the pickup because I think it gives us an intensity that we kind of seem to lose at times, especially when Suggs got hurt. And we're banking on his health unless we make more moves, which I think we will. I don't think we're done. So this is a kind of an incomplete grade. I'm okay with the deal. Thought we gave up too much, but I'm willing to move on and see what happens because I do like Bane as a player overall, and I like the fit.
You see, I think you just like hit it perfectly, bro. You hit it perfectly, and exactly the same thing I was thinking. Like, I feel like yes, 4 unprotected picks is a lot for a player, like you said, who wasn't the best player on the team. Yeah, who wasn't the best player on the team and who isn't the best player right now, for sure. Like, it's definitely a lot, right? But the Magic are in win now mode. They really feel that they can compete with any team in the East, and I feel like they can too. They have one of the best defenses in the league, and we know defense wins championship. And every single team sport, defense wins championships, and Orlando Magic has that. They have Pablo who can score 20 to 25 a game, and even on some good nights, 30, 35. We got Franz Wagner who can score 20 to 25 a game on some good nights. And then Desmond Bane can give you 20 points a game. Now, I'm not going to say he's super consistent with it, just like how you mentioned, but he can do it. And there was no one else on the Magic that could do that. We saw KCP, he wasn't even able to hit a 3-pointer. And that's why y'all brought him in. Next thing you know, Cole Anthony, he's only having 1 game out of a 7-game series. That is good. Everything else has been cocky, bad, shit. And it's like, dude, we need something now. We need someone who's going to score now. So what they did, they said, yo, fuck them picks. Have them. We're going to take this guy right now. He's going to give us 20 points a game with Wagner and with Paulo, and we're going to see what happens through the East. I think it was good for the Magic. I like the trade. If you ask me, is it a lot for him? Yes. But was it a good trade? Yes. Was it trade rape? Maybe. But I think the Magic did what they needed to do to try to win now. Because, like you said, they have a lot of young pieces. Why are you going to keep the picks and trying to bring in more young pieces when you got to develop them and develop them and develop them? Next thing you know, you're not good. You're not good enough to get to the second round for another 5 to 7 years. No, they want to get out of the first round right now. They want to get to the second round. They want to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. They want to get to the NBA Finals right now. So I think that trade was good for them.
Yeah, especially at a time where there's not a lot of teams leaning on true veterans. And I mean, like guys that are 30, 31, 32. A lot of these teams have, guys like Jokic that's not that old. Guys like Giannis, while he's in that age range I just mentioned, he still plays young. Guys like, obviously SGA and Halliburton and Tatum and Brown. And these guys have been around for years, but they're still super young. Anthony Edwards, Luka, right? Like the league is on a reset. So if ever a time to go all in on your young stars while you have them, now's that time. You look how fast Detroit turned that thing around. You look how fast Houston turned that thing around. It doesn't take that many veterans to do it. You do need some. And I think obviously Gary Harris's contract and somebody else's is not being, they're not taking the extra year with those players. So they're essentially it's Corey Joseph, right? Those guys are essentially off the team at this moment. Doesn't mean they won't bring them back. They brought back Harris before. I don't want him back. But either way, if we can get a guard to kind of help facilitate this and not make Suggs that guard, I know you could do the point forward thing with Franz. I don't think Paulo has spoken out. He doesn't want to do that, and I don't want him in that role. But no offense to his game, I just don't want him there. I'm not saying we get a guy like Drew Holiday. I'm not saying we get a guy like Derek White. But if we had players like those guys, because they don't need to be to that level, but if we had players like this guys that can kind of calm everyone down and let the pieces be the pieces to complete the puzzle, rather than everybody kind of doing more than they need to, bring in another little big, kind of keep it simple, have a guard that can facilitate, let the stars be themselves, play good defense. Hey, even with the Tatum injury, who can you really say that they can't compete with in the East, right? Like anybody. And they're really at that point, you only got to beat one West team. And I don't really think that. I know there's the West is typically better than the East, but I couldn't say that the Magic couldn't beat any of those West teams in a 7-game series.
Yeah.
OKC, maybe that's it, but everybody else they could compete with.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. And one thing I was thinking about, because you mentioned a playmaking guard, right? And I've been thinking about this for the last week now. How do you feel about Russell Westbrook going over there and coming off the bench, doing what he needs to do, what he's been doing for the Clippers, for all the teams that he was coming off the bench for, Nuggets as well, obviously. Do you think he would be a good fit for the Magic coming off the bench, facilitating, obviously getting some points, playing good defense, and doing what needs to be done for the Magic?
If you can get him for the right price, sure. Before this year, I would have said no because he's so odd how a guy with one of the better pull-up mid-range jumpers has just lost his ability to score at all. It's just like Ron Artest, how he was averaging 20, 25 points a game easily, then goes to Lakers, couldn't even shoot an open jump shot. I just don't know how that goes away so fast and so blatant. But with Denver, even with that, he showed that he can have value. He can come off the bench, be a spark plug. He can get to the basket. He'll play defense. He's still running in transition. I would be okay with it if we can get him on a 1 year, 2 year kind of situation, just something cheap with an opt out so that we're not tied to him too long. I think that'd be worth it because if you look at the rotation, if Suggs is starting, let's just say he is, and even if you put Westbrook there, it doesn't matter minutes wise. Suggs is your lead. I think he's not a true point guard anyway. And guys like Paulo and Franz can hold the ball at the top of the key themselves. So if you spelled one of them off the bench and you had only one of those guys out there at a time, giving one the rest, it wouldn't be bad to have a guy like Westbrook just going out there being wild and having those guys being able to collect the ball late in the shot clock and create on their own, rather than you look at Denver's bench. If Westbrook is doing anything and there's 3 seconds on the shot clock, they didn't have a lot of players that could do things with that late in the shot clock. But I think we do. So I'd take the chance on that if you can get it for cheap. I know he's getting offers from Europe and China and for crazy money. Hopefully he doesn't jump over there. But
No,
I don't know.
stay in America,
Good
doggy.
point.
Stay in America, doggy.
Yeah, legacy.
I think he would.
Marvel.
Yeah, for real, for real. I think he'll be a good fit for y'all. Honestly, I think he'll especially the playmate. I think they really relied on Pablo to playmake, and you saw it during that series against the Boston Celtics. He was bringing the ball down the court because no one else could bring the ball down. and I feel like he could be that guy off the bench. Pablo could get to a spot where he likes to post. He could do his thing. He don't have to bring down the ball down the court and worry about everybody else getting involved. He just got to get to his spot, make sure someone else is getting other people involved. Even though I think Desmond Bane can do that because he rised up his assist went from this past year. They went from like 3 to 4 to like 5 to 6. So I think he could still facilitate as well. Obviously, Jalen Suggs. But if you have another guy that can come off the bench and help out, that could be another playmaker on the court, I think that would be a good fit for you for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. Definitely.
All right. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is a player from the NBA draft. About to go into the NBA draft. Ace Bailey. So his draft stock has been diminishing because he has not done a single workout for any team in the NBA. He believes that he's going to be a top 3 player in the draft and wants to be selected by a team that will provide a clear path to stardom. And I'm going to read this quote right here. Bailey's pre-draft workout strategy has been perplexed some observers as he has yet to conduct a single known workout to date, having declined invitations from several teams within his draft range. Sources say Bailey's camp has informed interested teams that they believe he's a top 3 pick in the draft, but also seeks a clear path to stardom, perhaps feeling comfortable that a team will trade up to get him at number 3 or 4 should he drop. So, if you guys don't understand, he's wanting a team that is a contender right now, a team that was in the playoffs, to trade up for the number 3, 4, or 5th pick to try to get him, right? But it's been looking like since he's not working out for any team, his draft stock has been going down and down, and he might get to the middle or the end of the first round. With all that being said, CL, how do you feel about this situation?
Poor timing for this kid. I think realistically, you look at a team like Philly, where he could easily end up if things had just gone as they were going to go. That's a team that could be on a little rebuild out of nowhere. Like, I'm not saying they're just going to blow everything up, but Paul George could easily be gone. There's a lot of rumors of that, right? Ace Bailey could be playing there alongside Maxey and Embiid when he's healthy, which is not often, but still, even if he's not, that's more time for him. And if you look at the league, as I mentioned earlier in some things, it's very young and it's very balanced. Probably the most it's ever been, right? 7 champions, 7 years. That's the first time ever in NBA history. This is not the time to try to take teams and put them in a position of pressure to add you in and force your development. Right? You need to go play, stop talking, and just get the job done. Because there's not that many teams that you're going to have this opportunity to put up 25 points because they're bad anymore. Right? Like Washington, sure. Even the Hornets, bad team, but they got LaMelo. They don't need you to do that. Like, where are you going that you're going to show? Well, I'll show them. This team is, way in the gutter. I'm going to turn them around myself. And then look, you should have had me. You could have had me on that contending team. Look at all the contending teams. The Knicks don't need him. The Celtics don't need him. Indiana doesn't need him. Even, where are you going to go that you're going to put so much developing time in any of the top 10 teams in the league, any of the playoff teams? No playoff team right now, I would say, adds Ace Bailey and is all of a sudden like just this next tier team within a year or two. I don't think he just necessarily fits minutes wise into any of the contending teams right now. I think his best route was to just stay quiet, go to Philly, a team that's not a true gutter team that just had a lot of injuries and was able to have a good pick and luck into some madness in the first place. Like, this is not a good look. 3-4 years ago, you could have got away with it because there was a lot of bad teams and there were a lot of teams that were one piece away, youth wise, maybe, right? But I don't like talkers in the first place, perspective wise. And you look at guys like Drummond and all these past players that do all these coaching videos, talking to kids and talk about how they didn't stay in the league because they had a bad attitude, because they were a problem, because they were perceived to have a problem. Carmelo Anthony couldn't stay in the league because he was perceived to be a problem, even though he wasn't even saying anything. Imagine you're not Carmelo Anthony. You're not even Drummond at this point. It's an opportunity just to really devalue yourself and find yourself at the end of a bench, not getting playing time because you're not ready for the season.
Yeah, yeah. Two things for me, right? And you said one. One, it's not a good look at all. It's not a good look at all. I feel like players that do this feel very entitled, and it's definitely a bad look. Two, his logic doesn't make sense, right? So explain the first one. If you're a player that feels like you are the king coming out and you feel like you're going to be top 3, top 4, top 5 in the draft, and you feel like you can do whatever it takes to make any team good, and you have this mindset of like, you know what, I'm not going to prove myself anymore because I've already proved myself. It's a horrible look for the players in the draft with him. It's a horrible look for the players that are upcoming next year in the draft and the year after that. And it's horrible for the young kids that are playing basketball who are trying to make it into the NBA. It's not a mentality that you want. It's a mentality for losers, in my opinion. Because if you feel that you are the king and you can go toe to toe with anybody, why not prove it in a workout? Why not go to the workout and show that you are the man and give assurance to these teams on like, yo, he really is, who he says he is, and I think we should draft him. But since you're not doing that and you're not doing the workouts and you think that you're entitled to being the top 5 pick without doing anything for what is normally done for NBA teams, these teams are going to be like, I don't know. What if in these few months he hasn't been working out? What if he hasn't been working on his skill? What if he hasn't been working on his mental? Because a lot comes from the mental side of it. Like if your basketball IQ is up there, you will get to all-star level. You will get to superstar level. You will get to Hall of Fame level, right? So what if he's not doing all of that and these teams are like, I don't know. Like he's showing that right now he's not proving himself. Yeah, he proved himself in college, but what has he been doing since then? I want to see it portrayed in front of me, and that's what they do with these workouts, right? The second thing, his plan of not working out because he wants a team to trade up for the 3rd, 4th, or 5th pick to get him to the stardom level, right? If these teams are at the end of the draft, just like how you mentioned, these teams are already good. They don't need a player like that. There's a reason why they got to where they got to. And if you think that one of these teams would be like, yo, I'm going to draft a young buck to help us out to win NBA playoff games, get us to the conference finals and get us to the NBA finals, y'all tripping. Because these dudes don't know what it takes to get to that level yet. And they would use their assets and their time for someone else around the league who knows what it takes to get to this time of month, April, May, June, to get to the NBA finals. Why would they waste it on a player that doesn't know how to get there when they could waste it on players that do know how to get there? So, my opinion, like you said, it's a bad look. They feel entitled. You shouldn't feel entitled. You should prove yourself. And two, the strategy is just not there. I don't really understand.
They're not. It's not even like Cooper Flag can get away with that. Clayton Jr.
Right,
can get away with
right,
that, right?
right,
Like
right.
he's not Cooper Flag, but he had a show out. This, and I love college basketball. I watch college basketball. Big Syracuse fan. I watched the whole season. I watch every game. That's Syracuse
Okay.
basketball, right? I'm not like waiting for the tournament, but 90% of people are waiting for the tournament. You were not a tournament darling. You were nothing that stood out that made me believe like, hey, and I know he's a great player. I knew of him. I believe he's a good player as well. But you were nothing that America saw that we need to just jump out our screen and pay the heavy price. You get 7 guys in rotation, an NBA playoff rotation. Every team that made the playoffs this year has showed they had 7 or 8 guys that can play. The Knicks went with the short rotation. That didn't work out. They extended it, started to look a little better. Even those guys have more value than Ace Bailey does right now, even with their price tag being cheap. So there's just, like I said, it doesn't make sense at all. Just show up. You can't talk the talk until you walk the walk.
Exactly.
And he's just
exactly. You have not done anything yet in the league, bro. You need to prove yourself still. I'm sorry. Like how you mentioned that was a good point. I didn't even think about that. Even Cooper Flag is not doing that shit. And you think that you're gonna do it? Like, nah, bro. Nah. Get your ass to the fucking workout and prove yourself.
Crazy.
Doesn't make sense. All right. Last thing before we get out of here. NBA Finals, baby. NBA Finals, baby. OKC Thunder are up 3-2 on the Indiana Pacers going into Game 6 on Thursday night. And some news coming out that Tyrese Halliburton is to suffer the strained right calf and is getting an MRI to determine the severity of the strain. he did come out to say that if he can walk, he can play, which I applaud that because for sure, like, dude, like, I know you felt it. I felt it before playing on a messed up ankle, playing with a messed up shoulder with your shooting arm, playing with some hip flexor, whatever, or whatever the case may be when it comes to injuries. I know a lot of you basketball players out there have played on injuries. So these guys in these big time moments, during the regular season, all right, you need to get some rest. 82 games is a loss, is a lot. But when it comes to playoffs, I'm sorry. Everybody's hurt. Everybody's tired. Get your ass on the floor. Unless, like, you got a broken leg or a broken arm or something like that. But if it's a strain or, like, a pulled muscle or whatever, I don't know. I think you need to get back up there on the court. But just with the NBA Finals overall, how do you feel about the NBA Finals right
I mean, I think they've been good. They've been good enough. I think that game one was amazing. Obviously, Indiana just doing Indiana stuff all playoff long. And even in that game, I remember talking to a lot of people. I mentioned in my own thing that I still believed Indiana could come back and win. I wasn't giving up because I felt like that Thunder game through three quarters was as good as the defense has been. Their transition running was great. Yeah, you didn't have like this amazing 40-point game from anybody, but Dort hit a lot of timely threes. And obviously, Williams hit a lot of timely threes, and they're not just pure shooters, but they're good shooters. But yet Indiana clawed back and got the win on the road, which was just incredible. Again, right? Halliburton, the Cavs thing, I'll give credit to it because you don't have that launch ability, and he is a stop stutter kind of player. So I get that as well. However, 4 points in that last game is just not going to do it. Like, if you're a star, you can't be so passive. And I can't say that it's just the injury because that's kind of been his style throughout this whole series is wait and pick apart, get some passing, get other people going, let them be the threat so the defense sags on you a little bit, and then get on with the pump fake, attack the rim. When they attack the basket, he steps back, hits the three. He's kind of been, piecing it together, but you can't do that anymore. Game 5, game 6, game 7, whatever it ends up going to. It's time for you to show out from the beginning. I think his offense has to set the tone. If he's hurt and it shows, I'm not going to knock it. I'm not like hating on it. But this is the closest this franchise has ever been to winning a title. Paul Pierce, as a Celtics fan, my favorite player of all time. Second favorite player of all time, Reggie Miller, always has been. So I've always wanted to see Indiana win. I've kind of gone with the flow of OKC in 6 or Indiana in 7 kind of vibe. That's. I didn't think Indiana could win this in less than 7 games, and it's obviously it's going to take that if they're going to do it. I do like the series. I think that I'm sure the ratings and stuff like that would have been better had New York gone in, but that's neither here nor there. What we've been given. I like what SGA's done. I think he's kind of put himself on the map. I know there's a lot of people, the push-offs, the travels, the free throws, the boringness of that. Sure, I get it, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you win, you win. Jalen Williams is showing out. He could easily steal the MVP with one more great game. The rest of the team just playing defense, doing what they do, and they're built the team the right way, and they'll be the first team to win the championship, building the team the right way since Golden State did it before Kevin Durant. So, shout out to them. You don't get a lot of young teams winning titles. It's not a normal thing. I'm not saying they'll continue to win. You look at all the other teams that have won recently. They've tweaked their teams a little and fallen off, so we'll see what they do. But I do like the series. I like what Indiana's done. I'm not super surprised by them. I did pick them to beat Milwaukee. I picked them to beat Cleveland. I did not pick them to beat Boston, but Boston was not there anyway. So not even going to get into that. But I enjoyed the finals. I'm really hoping that Indiana can, win game 6 and give me anything for game 7. But I wouldn't be shocked if OKC closed it out.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to stick on um the fact of, like, I've been seeing a lot over Twitter and a lot over ESPN and all these big time networks, right? And they've been talking about how the ratings have gone down. This is like one of the worst rated NBA finals when it comes to viewership, and how there's no big time stars in there and this and that. And honestly, man, like, I'm a big time basketball fan. I know you are too. And I just feel like when you watch the NBA finals and it's games like this, it's an NBA finals like this, I think it's something that you gotta feel very appreciative, because you got two teams who play with 7, 8, 9 players who play great defense, who hustle, who pass the ball, who both teams are going neck to neck on most of the games. And, like, there's been thrillers. That game 4 thriller, that was crazy. That game 1, the game winner, that was insane. Like, I just love this type of basketball, and a lot of people don't because LeBron James is not there. I'm a big time LeBron James fan, but I don't honestly, he's not there. I don't give a crap. Like, I like to see great basketball. LeBron James is not there. Steph Curry's not there. Kevin Durant's not there. The big time market teams, New York not there. Los Angeles not there, and all this. So that's why people don't watch, right? But if you really like basketball and you really analyze the game and you watch these players for their skills and how they play together, like, you will appreciate this type of level of basketball. Like, the way that they play is great team oriented basketball, and I love that. Honestly, I'm a big defensive guy, so the way OKC plays defense, the way Indiana plays defense, sometimes like that, I love it, honestly. And big time shout out to Alex Caruso, because this guy hasn't been doing nothing all season. And in NBA Finals, 2 times he drops 20 points. That's how you know that he has that championship mentality and he's bringing it to the table. Obviously, the MVP, Jay, he's doing what he needs to do. Jalen Williams, J Dub stepping up, they're doing work. OKC's doing work. And on the other side, Indiana Pacers, they're doing work too. But I need to see a little bit more from Miles Turner. I need to see a little bit more from Tyrese Halliburton when it comes to scoring. Because, yes, you're a great facilitator and you're getting your teams involved. But just like CL said, 4 points. Only 4 points in a game 5 NBA Finals. Like, yeah, we could say it's an injury, but, like, come on, bro. Like, you need to do better than that. And I feel like he should be dropping 20 points a game. Yes, you want to get your players involved. You want to get your teammates involved. But we're in the NBA Finals, bro. You need to do your part, too, when it comes to scoring. You're doing your part everywhere else, but you need to put in more work in scoring, in my opinion. But just to overall say, I've been loving this NBA's finals, bro. I think that is great for the NBA. Like you mentioned, like 7 years in a row, 7 different champions. Like, I think it's great. I think it's great for the NBA. You don't want to see the same teams going over back to back. And that's what people complained about too. Like, people complained about, LeBron was going to the NBA Finals 10 years in a row, or whatever the case may be. Oh, my God, we need to change it up. Okay, we changed it up, and now y'all complaining because the superstars are not in the finals. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, look at the teams that, you build these superstar rosters, and they don't win anymore. And I think a lot of people think you just put a bunch of stars together, it's going to win. Oh, yeah, the Big Three Celtics, they won. Well, the Big Three Celtics used players that had individual traits to be a champion. You had a defensive big that could score in the paint, KG. You had your perimeter catch and shoot player, Ray Allen. You were do a little bit of everything. Paul Pierce, Rondo just facilitating, Perkins just playing defense. It was a broad, balanced team. Other than obviously the LeBron Heat, where you had 3 young superstars come together. Even then, their styles complement each other in different ways. It's not just 3 of the same players, like you try to do a Booker and Durant and stuff like that. That doesn't win, and it's never won anything. I think that's kind of a perspective that people think, like, I want the stars in there. But look at the way those teams are being built. They're just throwing stars together and they're not getting anywhere. And it's just, that's not going to get you there. Why not appreciate what you have, right? You look at another terrible ratings thing, I'm not comparing, but 2 of the best teams in the past 25 years, or of the, this side of the year 2000, the Spurs championship team and the Pistons Phillips team, right? These are 2 amazing teams that people hype up all the time, but yet when they played each other, nobody wanted to see it. Right? Nobody wanted that in the finals. It was boring. You didn't have that.
Shaq right there.
Yeah, it's not Kobe and Shaq. Right? Yeah, it's not LeBron. Like, okay, it's like, okay, I get that, but you do have amazing basketball. You have the best 2 teams. You don't have the best stars. We have the best teams in the league playing against each other. You have to have an appreciation for it. And if you don't, I get it. You like the swag, but this is why when you look at college basketball and get to the tournament, gets to the Elite 8, all the underdogs and Cinderellas are gone, but maybe one of them. If you had a Cinderella on each side of the bracket make it, once you get to the final, the ratings would be down because nobody wants to see 2 underdogs. You want to see David and Goliath, right? But you got 2 Goliaths here, 2 great teams playing great basketball, and you just don't want to see it because they're not big markets. That's kind of annoying because, like you said, I'm a basketball player. You're a basketball player. We appreciate it. True hoopers understand how great this could be and how cool it is to have 2 not under the radar teams, because OKC was probably the title champion pick going in. But they're a fairly new and young team, so that's kind of fun too. I'm all for it. I don't need ratings. I don't care about ratings. I care about just watching and appreciating it. So I'm good with it, no matter who wins. I want Indiana. I don't think Indiana will do it, but nonetheless, OKC deserves
it. Yeah. So if you want to rebuttal here, obviously you can't. But this, what you said, like, just really in my mind puts the nail in the coffin of, like, the NBA is way more skillful now than it ever was, right? And it's because, like how you said, there's no more big three no more, right? Obviously, before that, it was just like 2-1 superstar on a team that will take you to the promised land. Then it turned into the big three, big four. But now, if you got a collective unit of 7, 8 guys, obviously starting 5, 2, 3 coming off the bench, and everybody's doing work together and playing as a team, those big threes and big fours are out of here. Are out of here. Those
I love
it's
it.
the
I
teams.
love it.
Yeah, dude. Bro, it just it's in your face for you basketball fans. It's in your face. If you have a team that is 7 or 8 deep, you and plays amazing defense, we can't forget about that. You play amazing defense, you will get to the promised land. It's thrown in your face. Last year with the Boston Celtics, bro, there were like 7 deep. 4 of them can put up 20 points, and it's like, who will stop it?
And we can play defense.
Yes, exactly. Top 5.
Yeah, this is the closest the NBA has ever been to opening day of the season, and you haven't already eliminated 28 teams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it used to be that way. Like 5 years ago, it was that way. Like the season started, and 28 teams knew they had no chance
The
right out the
Cleveland
gate.
Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors. That whole
That's it.
4-year
Same
run,
thing.
it was
That's it.
yeah.
2 teams that could maybe compete with them if they stay healthy and everything goes right, but nobody else. Everybody else was out, and that everyone hated that. It's good to have a bad guy, but it's not good to have no balance whatsoever. Every fan of every team could go into the draft with some hope. Not saying they're going to win this year. I don't think Charlotte fans are thinking they're going to the championship this year. But my point is, like, their window to turn it around because of teams like Orlando, because of teams like Detroit, because of teams like Houston, it can happen overnight. It can happen so fast, and that's the first time the NBA has been this way. Whereas NFL is like that every year. You know, they say what 4 to 6 teams are out every year that made it the previous year to the next season by fact. It's not a some weird stat. It's fact every year that happens. Baseball has a lot of a lot of switchover. Not so much for the playoff teams, but they have some expansion going on. But in terms of whoever gets hot at the right time, like hockey is just a wild card. You never know. This is the only sport that's been so predictable. We finally got away from that. Now people are complaining.
People are complaining. People are complaining. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But before we get out of here, Game 6 Thursday night. Do the Oklahoma City Thunder close it out and win the NBA 2025 NBA Finals, or do the Pacers extend it to Game 7?
I'm gonna look for somebody like Nembhard or Neesmith to really show up and make up for the Halliburton injury. If he does play, and let's just say he doesn't look like overly hobbles or anything like that, I'll say Indiana will fight it off just one more day.
Yeah, I think Indiana takes us a Game 7 and 1. I think with the viewership being so low, I think the NBA is gonna make sure that goes Game 7, 100%.
Yeah, everything they can do.
I'm in the conspiracy that the NBA is rigged, honestly. Well, and it's rigged to a certain point. Like people think that the players rig it and this and that. No, it's the referees. The referees rig the games, and it's not like like blatantly obvious. No, it's like those fouls that are basically argumentative, or like, or it could go either way. They'll give it to the team that is down 3-2 in this situation, the Pacers. So
yeah, a lot of that happens in the first quarter, first half, where it's like ticky-tack foul on the perimeter that you don't really pay no mind to because the first guy's second foul of the game. But now he's got 3 fouls because he picks up a foul later. Now he's playing less minutes. Now they're in the bonus with 8 minutes left to go in the fourth. It's like you don't think about it, because it's not in the last 3 minutes of the game. It's not focused on. So I hear you. I'm not a conspiracy guy, but I can see that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers are going into the half up 12 or 15. I wouldn't be surprised. Like,
yeah,
it's good to me. I feel like this is
although that lead's not safe with 2 minutes left to go in today's NBA.
100%, 100%. And you've seen it a lot in the playoffs, and especially with the Pacers. Like the Pacers have been on the best part of that.
Yeah.
Facts, man. But dude, I really appreciate you coming on. We're gonna keep this going. Let these people know where they can follow you and view your stuff, my guy.
Of course. So pretty much every social handle at Real CL Kid, CLKID. Talk CL Kid on Instagram. All the links are in all the bios, musically, sports wise, whatever it may be. Definitely follow. Always had a great time here with GMike, as always. Our old school radio show tandem. So taking it to another level here, kind of pairing up the shows. Had a great time, like usual, G. By the way, you hooping tomorrow?
Yes, sir. We hoping it. Well, if I feel better, if I feel worse, probably won't. But yeah, right
Yeah,
now, it's questionable. It's questionable.
you got to play if Halliburton plays. Right? You get him crap. You got to show up now.
For sure. Guys, you know where you can follow me on X at George Mike Perez, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, GMike Media _. The audio podcast of this show, the G Perspective, is available on all podcast platforms and the video version on YouTube as well. And if you guys are into sports gambling, I run a Telegram channel where we charge $10 a month, to get you guys anywhere from winning from $25 to $50 to $100 a day. And now we have an affiliate program where you can get paid for just bringing in other people. If you guys want to know more, hit me up on one of my socials, slide in my DM, and we'll have a conversation to get you on and pop. But CL, thank you again, my guy. And hopefully I see you tomorrow. Hopefully I feel better.
Yeah, definitely. Heal up. I need my defender.
I got to take them, like in 50 minutes, take another Tylenol. Dang.
Yeah, I'll be setting alarms like every 3 hours. Like if I'm sick, I'll set an alarm, wake up in the middle morning, 2 o'clock, 4 hours later, take a med, 6 a.m. take a med.
That's actually smart, yeah. Usually I just
wait after 4 hours. Fine.
Yeah. Usually I just take them right before I go to sleep, and then when I wake up, I'm like, all right, let me eat something and take something quick.
You know? I'm like, use the bathroom, take one, wake up randomly, take one. I'm like, nah, all right, this thing's gonna be working while I'm sleeping.
All right, my boy, have a good night, brother.
Well.